up to this computer.
Oh, now we're recording.
Oh, now it's... bitch, I hit the record button. What the fuck?
I guess
now
you didn't hit it hard enough.
I guess I didn't hit it hard enough. Not as hard as I hit the Benjamin, and now I have to re-explain John glazing a witch. Again, like, this sucks. I ruined the bit now.
Mm-hmm.
Womp womp.
This is what happens when we do 2 long episodes in a row. By the time we
Yep.
hit the second one,
By the time
y'all
we hit
are
the
both
second
hitting the
tower.
second one.
I
And
got
somehow, somehow I'm the sober one leading the event. So
that shouldn't be happening. Hey, listen, I never hit the Benjamin. Like, that's how intense. That's how intense. And seriously, we were taking our review of the V6 stuff. I had to hit the Benjamin.
yeah, I've been stressing Sarah out. So my bad there.
This shit's been. It's I'm trying to be good. Does it take me that long to find it? Yes, it does. But we're doing okay. So yeah, Hunter, please lead us through the rest of this mechanics instructional, please.
All right, so we got through a lot. So this week we are mostly focused on, we're going to talk about health, we're going to talk about vitae, we're going to talk about willpower, and then we're going to dive into the humanity beast to the best of my ability.
Yes. Intro.
Yes.
Before we get
hi.
too far.
Yeah, hi and welcome to Blank Bodies, a Vampire the Masquerade tabletop and horror podcast. I'm your host, Hunter, still in bed, and I'm joined by...
John, putting a witch in a box.
Did you glaze her first?
No, I don't have the glaze that I need for her.
Okay.
I've got to work on that one.
That's fair. We will give you a riveting update when John has glazed said witch. I'm Sarah. Coming live from Turf Island. It's okay. Look, the thing is, I can get a fucking morning roll now, which is fantastic. At least. I love a fucking morning roll.
I don't even know what that is. Is that like a cinnamon bun?
It's like a breakfast sandwich.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm into that.
Like, there's a very specific,
the Sammys are cool.
Yeah, it's like a very specific square, like, savory roll that's used for breakfast Sammys over here. It fucks so hard.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
But, so we are continuing our deep dive into the rules,
Mm-hmm.
for V6, the alpha. So, I think I mentioned this in the previous episode. I know I mentioned the one before that, but this will all eventually become outdated info. This is really a timely thing, or if you're historically interested in how the alpha went in the future. But if V6 has released and you're looking for us to actually be discussing rules and how to run game and stuff, this is not the episode for you. So I think that should be stated. Warning.
Yeah, this is more us describing game mechanics, design theory, yada yada yada.
And news. So also everything in this is alpha, and this is me interpreting the information from the alpha and me teaching it to them and sharing our opinions.
Mm-hmm.
Check it out. I've been trying to name pages and stuff, so if you're following along, that's totally something you can do. There's also at the back of the PDF, I believe it's at the back, it's somewhere in there, there's a link to a feedback form. So if you've play tested this and read all this yourself and you want to share with them your opinion on how the alpha is going, things you like, things you don't like, all that, you go check that out and you can help shape how the game turns out. So that's cool as shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
But diving back in, the first mechanic we're going to talk about, we've hinted at it a lot this last episode. I think we've vaguely described what's going on anyway, but we're jumping into health, vitae, and willpower.
Mm-hmm.
So vitae is your physical, quote, life force. This is on page 84 of the player packet. So when blood is drank, it transforms into this mystical fluid that represents your health. And it's also what powers your vampiric abilities. To determine your vitae, you take your stamina and then you add 10 to it. So okay. Like my Ventru that from the playtest scenario, the pre-made Ventru that I've been using for examples, her stamina is 3. Well, that's interesting. I didn't look at this closely to examine it. This says your vitae maximum is 10 plus your stamina. Looking at this here, her vitae is 12, but her stamina is 3.
Oh, so maybe a typo?
Maybe a typo, or maybe something in the character creation. You can end up less than your max.
Oh, Okay.
So maybe you have
Some sort of flaw.
flaws or something. We are going to do a whole character creation episode, so we'll figure that out. But it is stamina based plus 10, and it seems like there's something else in there that changes that up a little bit, huh? Interesting. I'm glad I pulled this character sheet out to use that as an example, because the way this is written, I would have just looked at that and said, okay, 10 plus stamina, that's how much vitae you got. Seems like that might not be the case. And we will figure that out when we do character creation. So vitae is lost when you take damage and by the use of some disciplines. Quote, when you take damage to your vitae, reduce it by your generation modifier. Reduce the total of damage to no less than 1, and subtract the rest from your current vitae total.
God, they brought back soak.
Yep, generational soak is back.
Fuck off. Sorry. I hate the soak mechanic. I hate soak mechanics so fucking much.
I think you've shit talked soak in the last 2 episodes.
I will continue. I will die on this hill. I hate it so fucking much. Continue. I'm so sorry.
No, but so that ties into generation. That's something that we're going to talk about in the character creation episode. I think we can look into it there. We don't need to do a whole dive into it here, but different generations have different soaks that you get basically. So the older you are, the more soak you get. And it can never go below 1 though. So if you take damage, you're always taking at least 1 damage. Now, your vitae is organized into thresholds. The less vitae you have remaining, the more it affects you. So as you move down in vitae, your threshold lowers to these lower thresholds. We talked about this a little bit when we were talking about quickening, I believe, but I will walk us through all of these now. So the top tier is satisfied. That's 11 plus vitae. You feel good. Your beast is in control. You gain a +1 die to self-control tests and a +1 to clan discipline tests. So clan discipline tests, different for every clan. Self-control tests, I believe, are used to resist your beast and your nature. So you're so full and so bloated with blood of the mortals that like you're holding all that back. Your beast is satisfied, your human side is in control. That's a little weird to say, but yeah, you're doing good. It feels like now in Vampire, this is I know, but it seems like now there's like we'll get into this later in this episode, but there's like 3 things in you now. You have 3 wolves in you.
Yeah, the use of wolf is very poignant. I'm saving it for when we get to that section.
Okay, cool. So that's satisfied. The next one is thirsty. That's when you're at 6 to 10 vitae. You lose the previous bonuses, and instead you gain +1 quickening immediately, hitting this threshold, and at the beginning of every scene while in this threshold. So you don't get those dice bonuses. And doing the quick math, I believe 11 is the lowest vitae you can possibly have. 10 plus a 1 in stamina, I'm guessing would get you to 11. So no matter what, you can't start a character who's always thirsty, I don't think. Now maybe there's some flaws, some things like that I haven't dug through yet that do that, but I do believe that like you best case scenario, you're satisfied. You have to do stuff to get dropped down into thirsty. All right, so the next one is hungry. That's when you're from 1 to 5 vitae. You now gain 2 quickening immediately upon hitting this threshold, and then at the start of every subsequent scene. So you're hungry, you guys leave the warehouse you're at, and you show back up at Elysium. You get 2 quickening, start of every scene, easy. You also become starving, and quote, whenever you see a helpless mortal, smell fresh blood, or see someone bleeding, you must succeed on a self-control, composure, and resolve test, or enter into a hunger frenzy for the rest of the scene.
And that's at what level?
That is hungry. So that's 1 to 5 vitae. So that's like very bottom of your, we'll call it your health. But
well, the phrasing helpless mortal is very interesting because it's like, okay, what do you mean by helpless though?
I'm guessing someone who would be easy to feed on. So say you're in a packed Walmart parking lot and there's 30 mortals around you. Maybe not, but say you're at a Taco Bell after hours and there's like one dude alone in the parking lot eating his dinner. They're all alone. Maybe that's helpless.
Yeah, it's a I am for encouraging people to grapple with their characters being opportunistic predators, because haha, vampire game.
Ta-da!
But like, I just okay. Like the hunger frenzy when you're at a not good time, dog. That makes sense. It's just the phrasing on that. I'm just like, it circles back to your earlier complaint, Hunter, where it's like this is too vague.
Yeah,
What do you mean by that?
we also don't have feeding types anymore like we had in
Mm-hmm.
V5.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, Ventures still have the rarefied palette curse, just looking at my
Mm-hmm.
character sheet. But other than that, that doesn't really seem, that's not a thing anymore. So it's not like when you see someone who fits your preferred meal type.
Right,
So
which
you
would
don't
have been
have
a
that
perfect
to lean on.
opportunity to cause this to be a locked-in thing.
Yes.
Mm.
All right. So
Anyways.
we have one more threshold.
Mm.
And this one is 0. That's torpor or
Mm.
torpor, however you want to pronounce it. But you're paralyzed. You can't use disciplines, and you look like a corpse. You lose all your quickening, and when fed, quote, you immediately come out of torpor, but must succeed a difficulty 5 self-control, composure and resolve test, or enter a hunger frenzy for the rest of the scene. At storyteller's discretion, this difficulty can be lower if you are fed by someone familiar, fed more than half your maximum vitae, or have been in torpor for less than 24 hours.
I mean, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But okay, when they say paralyzed, does that mean you just like flop on the ground? Or are you a statue? What does that mean?
I would.
I mean, it said you look like a corpse, so I would assume just flop on the ground.
Yeah, I was like, do you go into rigor immediately and you're just stuck like that?
I would almost say it depends on how old you are.
Yeah, that's also just like a vague wording that could be a problem because it's like in terms of masquerade breaching, for example, if somebody were to fall into torpor and they just flop on the ground and they look like a corpse, well, a corpse randomly is a problem. That's not breaching the masquerade. Now, if you have a guy, let's just say, was using like a presence power, beefed it, and is now at Riz too hard, ended up in 0 torpor hunger. They would be presumably standing, sitting up, gesturing, doing something. And if it's they're paralyzed and therefore freeze in that rigor state, yeah, that's a masquerade problem.
Oh yeah.
Like,
I think that's up to ST and
okay.
player choice. While some extra examples there would be nice, that's far from the worst
No,
of the vagueness issues I've seen.
My other concern, just from storytelling perspective, is the use of hunger frenzy for the rest of the scene.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the part where I'm like, okay, I understand hey, you're getting woken up from torpor, you're going to be having a big predatory feeling about it, a hunger frenzy may happen. That's fine and all well and good. What if you feed back up to top? Are you still hunger frenzying for the rest of the scene?
I am scrolling through the book. I'm gonna try and pull up the actual hunger frenzy rolls.
Yeah, I'm
here.
sorry. I didn't mean to make you pull up a thing, but it's just like the way this is worded is concerning.
No, this is a bit of a frustration. It does quote the chapter that the hunger frenzy rules are in, but it just takes you to beginning of chapter 4, the beginner, like the rules chapter, which takes you further away from what you're trying to find, I think.
Oh.
Let me see. I'm sure it comes up a lot. See if I can just search for it. Found on 4 pages. Huh. All right, here we go. So, okay, interesting. We're not going to dive deep into this, but there are multiple types of frenzy. Apparently, there's hunger frenzy, fear frenzy, and rage frenzy. But looking at hunger frenzy, so quote, you need blood. When your vitae is between 1 and 5, you're hungry and are presented with a chance to feed, you risk a hunger frenzy. I think that's more specific there too.
Okay,
so
good.
They are more specific in that section there, so that is nice.
Okay, good.
So yeah, and it says trigger. If you are within the hunger threshold and can see or smell fresh blood within a short distance, at storyteller discretion, this frenzy might also trigger if you are hungry and see a human or other suitable source of blood in a position in which it can't defend itself.
Okay,
there we
cool.
go. So
Thank you for that
does
clarification.
answer that. Yes. And there's a difficulty table here where the difficulty is set by your current vitae. So the lowest vitae that you can go into a hunger frenzy is 5. It's a 1 to 5. You can go into a hunger frenzy, and it's pretty much the opposite of those numbers is the difficulty. By that I mean
If you have 5 vitae, the difficulty is a 1 to resist.
Okay. Cool.
If
Cool.
you
Cool.
have if you have 1 vitae, it's 5 difficulty to resist a hunger frenzy.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, it's the what concludes a hunger frenzy. That's kind of where I'm at.
So here's we go. I'll quote this straight from the book. So it's basically you trying to feed here, I'll read this whole section actually. So, quote, while in a hunger frenzy, you try to feed from the nearest available source of blood in the most animalistic way possible, without concern for anything other than obtaining blood. This frenzy lasts until you sate your hunger, drinking until you are within the satisfied vitae threshold. So, satisfied vitae threshold was back up all the way to fucking 11 plus.
Jesus Christ.
So
Okay.
you I don't know how much humans carry in this one, but I believe in previous editions that's killing multiple people.
Yeah, well, we can look into that later, but it's like if they're following the scales from previous editions, it's like, yeah, I think I'm trying to remember because it's been so long since we did the blood episode. I think in previous edition, one person is 8.
8. So if you're at 5, that's fine. If you're at 1, that's at least killing one person and feeding on someone else.
Yeah.
So it does vary there. And I think there was variables to it. And again,
Mhm.
I'm not going to count on this being the same as it was in V5. I think
No.
that's not a fair assumption to make.
No. Yeah, no, it's just if they're pulling from like 20th anniversary and earlier, that's kind of what I remember. But cool. Okay, cool. Thank you for digging into that, Hunter. I was just sat there going, this is insane. What do you mean? But I still think it's insane, but it's a little less crazy than what I thought it was. So thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the
So
idea of a hunger frenzy being kind of intense.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I like the idea of
absolutely.
it being like, no, I just went into a hunger frenzy in this club. I went into the bathroom and I've killed 2 people and I'm like working on a third.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No.
That's
That's
cool
totally
and
fine.
spooky.
It is. You're being an asshole and a monster. That's great. It's just the logistical problem of one of your homies goes down into torpor and you're trying to bring them back up. It's the storyteller brain of, okay, what steps do the other players need to take to prep their homies so that when they do wake up and inevitably go into a hunger frenzy, like how much prep do they need to do? Like,
Right.
and it's like, if you pull somebody out of torpor, are they gonna hunger frenzy regardless of what you do? And then the length of that is irregardless of how much they actually get pumped into their body?
Yeah,
Doesn't
and
seem like
Yeah.
it, so that's good.
Yeah, so
yeah,
that was concerns I had. So thank you.
and during the hunger frenzy, you also get dice bonuses to feed. You get dice minuses to do anything but feed. You can't use social disciplines.
Mhm.
There's some other effects like that too going on. So,
Okay.
um,
Cool.
and then we also have Vitae is recovered by feeding. There are rules for feeding by hunting, feeding on opponents in combat, and it also says that you can feed by role playing.
What does
Yeah,
that mean?
I'm not quite sure. It talks
You
about
just
all the
have to role
rules.
play the scene.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's what I'm guessing the hunting rules are more
Oh,
like
like,
in V5 where you're like actually going out and hunting someone down.
yeah.
Like
So
there's
it's like a dine
full
and dash.
mechanics. Yeah, there's like full mechanics for finding victims and feeding on them and stuff. Whereas role playing is maybe you're at a club and you flirt with a lady and then you walk back to a booth for a second and then you're all right, I fed a little bit. So
Cool.
it is vague, but
Sick.
I don't necessarily hate that. I think anytime if you're just saying you can role play this, I think that's fine in a game like this, especially
Oh, yeah.
for a feeding scene when you're not in a frenzy.
Yeah, no, that's
That's all.
totally fine. I just wanted to make sure that this was clearly understood because the feeding is your fucking health tracker. So this is like super important, dog.
Yes. Yes, it is. So it's also it's your health tracker. So we talked about how you get knocked into torpor without it. You also spend it, we mentioned in last episode, to cast or to use some disciplines. So like I said, the example character I've been using, because I have the printed off one from the playtest, is the Ventru. So all of her abilities cost willpower to use, but there are disciplines that cost vitae. So you're spending a blood point to rouse the blood in your body. You're burning that blood to strengthen yourself, basically, or get quicker or whatever with your so it is not just your life power, it is also your ability to do the vampire thing. So it is a very important tracker. I do think it well, let's get into this next section and then we can loop back to what I was about to say.
Yes.
So there's another type of damage. So while it is all on one tracker, we have another type of damage. We have baneful damage. All right, so baneful damage reduces your total health boxes temporarily. It's hard to heal, and when all of your health boxes are marked out with baneful damage, you quote, die, face final death, or are otherwise destroyed. Now, so essentially when you say, my Ventru here, she has 12 vitae. If I were to take 2 baneful damage, I could not go above 10 vitae ever until that is healed. So, but I have to take 12 baneful damage to actually die. I do think it's interesting that they that was a direct quote there. I do think it's a little interesting / weird that they phrase it as you die, face final death, or are otherwise destroyed.
Yeah, it's I think they're
those...
really hinting about Wraith. Like really hard.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, aren't those all the same thing?
I mean, depending on what you are.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I see in the
if you're
notes.
immortal,
Oh, sorry, go
technically,
ahead.
if you're immortal and you dropped down to 0 blood or health or whatever,
I think you just die.
Well, you could still be embraced as you're dying.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you've died, but you haven't faced final death,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just the or otherwise destroyed part that made me go, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
What are you implying? Hold on. But in the notes, I see you've noted that the most common sources for baneful damage is fire and sunlight, which that makes sense. Not going to contest that at all. That's totally cool. I don't know if there's any notes about like true faith causing baneful damage or like
I haven't seen anything about true faith. It might be in the ST packet. I've read a little less of that, but I haven't seen anything about true faith whatsoever. So that might just be something that they've not done yet.
Cool. So my other question is,
yeah, true faith does not show up in the packet whatsoever. I just did a search.
Cool. So that's a
faith.
future problem. That's a future problem. Cool. So in terms of like regular degular, I'm just gonna beat this guy to death with a lead pipe. So you whack, bap this guy into torpor, 0 vitae. To beat this man into final death, do you just continue to beat the tar piss out of him until you fill all those boxes?
It doesn't say. That was my assumption, was that if you just like once someone's in torpor and you keep doing damage to them, it becomes baneful damage.
Yeah.
But it does not specifically say what happens when you take damage after you hit torpor whatsoever.
Cool. That's really important. That's super important. I need that rule.
Whether or not, I do think it's interesting because last episode we were talking a lot about how this feels kind of mean. Like all the rolls feel very hard. It seems like you're going to be losing health and shit constantly. It does seem like it's harder to die now, like overall.
Yeah, which that's fine if that's how they're balancing out the mean dice with you're going to have a bigger health margin. I'm okay with that, but it's also like guys, how many times have we dealt with somebody that's like beaten a character into torpor and then they're just like, nah, I'm gonna continue till they're done. Like this is a regular player interaction in this game. I need to know what the fuck this means.
Yeah, that is crazy. And I don't know, dude. Like I know this is an alpha, but like I don't know if it seems more fun to make it harder to die, but you're just getting torpored and hunger frenzying constantly, so you're just losing control of your character partially or totally more often.
It's I kind of concur with John on I like the hunger frenzying actually being a big problem, and it's like you're playing a vampire. You should be struggling with maintaining your goddamn blood and balancing all your bullshit.
Yeah. I will say in
like,
V5
that's the fucking game.
In V5 it was pretty easy to get away with like not worrying about feeding that often.
It depended on the kind of character you were playing.
Yes.
Because like I've played characters where they were doing a lot with their blood. So it was just one of those like I liked V5 system insofar as like it was mechanically a devil's bargain, which is hey, you have these cool powers, you have all this stuff you can use that makes you more than human, but the more you use it, the more you're risking having problems.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore have to spend more time managing it. And I think I like how they're reinterpreting that kind of a devil's bargain with making your Vitae the health tracker.
Yeah, like
I just have a lot of questions about like how this is going to work logistically.
yeah, like as presented, it is interesting
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like it's a very double-edged sword here.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like one or two vitae isn't crazy, but it
Mm-hmm.
does make you think about when you use your disciplines more. It
Mm-hmm.
makes I do still think that the choose your pain thing of losing 3 vitae is fucking insanely high
Mm-hmm.
for rolling a 1
Yeah.
and something's happened and you're like failing hard on a thing. I would make that like 1.
Mm-hmm.
Like I will give up 1 vitae. Like yeah, it's easy to feed, but like if you're in combat or needing to use abilities and stuff and rolling a single 1 takes away a fourth of your health pool and your main resource for using abilities, that's kind
Mm-hmm.
of that's really shooting yourself in the foot versus yeah, you can have a drama,
Yeah.
especially after we talked about drama last episode and what it actually does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I kind of don't giving your ST drama now that we've gone over the rules, and the rules that were at my playtest table don't seem to exist, and they
Mm-hmm.
don't like counter player decisions as much or at all. I feel like I would pick that every fucking time.
Yeah.
Just looking at how the health alone works, like it's just like yeah, here's a drama, do something with the story, I guess,
Do the thing you were going to do anyways.
instead of killing me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I just also just wanted to like make sure John had a space to talk about the thoughts on the Vitae health tracker situation because like I
Oh,
vaguely remember at Gen Con you had some opinions about this.
yeah, I don't really love it. I mean, I think we've covered most of it. I think it's wild that, you get punched by a Brujah a few times as a gangrel, and then you decide to pop claws, and whoops, I'm dead or in
Or
torpor
hunger frenzying.
or hunger frenzying. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. And I mean, there was an aspect of that about popping claws and doing all that stuff, like when you're super hungry, right? If you're at 5 health or 5 vitae or whatever, and you lose a hunger roll,
Hmm.
rouse check, sorry, a rouse check,
Yeah.
you frenzy. Um, but yeah, I don't. It just
Yeah.
does make.
It's
We haven't seen the powers yet. I feel
Mhm.
like I could be more okay with it if they upscale the powers quite a bit, which looking at the character sheet Hunter had, it does look like they kind of did that.
Mhm.
No. And
Yeah, I was gonna say kind of I like fifth edition dice because it basically became like risk management a lot.
Hmm.
It's like you had less numbers to worry about because it was a scale of 1 to 5. Um, but when because the way the rouse check worked, you had a 50-50 shot every time of whether or not did you had gotten punished for doing the thing or not. So it was one of those kind of weaponizing the human the gamble button of like I want the thing, maybe if I hit the button it won't punish me this time, press button, press
Oh
button, press button,
man.
press. It's like weaponizing the
Oh
Skinner
man.
box kind of which for World of Darkness game I'm like I like that mechanic because it's very sinister. It's a very just like yes you want to use the abilities, yes, maybe you won't be punished for it this time, oops you were, oh no. I if you have to burn a vitae every time you activate a power, it kind of makes this a very, and it's problems I had with the old editions where it's very plug and chug, where it's just like you as a character are gonna know, oh yeah, if I want to do X, Y, and Z, I am aware that I need to have my standard my standard 2 humans per night, and then if I'm gonna get in this altercation, I'm going to need to crunch 3 more humans, and
Oh yeah.
it
We're going back to Capri Suns.
going back to Capri Suns, and I'm just like, it kind of sucks. I don't like it. It abstracts the whole thing in a way where it's just like, yeah, you're role playing being a monster, but you're not really grappling with what that means. You're just kind of like, well, this is a resource, whatever, yit.
Which, I
Except
mean,
now it
if that
has
was
even
a role
higher
play
stakes.
decision, If that was
Sorry,
a
what?
roleplay decision, then like that
Yes.
could be interesting. Like you've just kind of
Yeah.
lost humanity that is actually your viewpoint. But it's just when it becomes the meta, it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
weird.
It's
Yeah.
kind
So I
of
did look up
way.
I, I did look up a physical discipline, John, for you just to use an example. So here's a 2-dot potence power called Bone Breaker. So it's a 2-dot. It takes an action to activate. It's based on strength. It costs 2 vitae, so you're spending 2 vitae to do this. And quote, you concentrate your prowess into a single attack that breaks the target's bones and mangles its muscles. As part of activating this power, make a called shot melee attack aimed at a part of the target's body. On success, the attack inflicts damage as normal, but the target's body part suffers the mangled condition. If the target if the attack fails, you can spend 1 willpower to maintain this effect into your next turn, applying it to an attack during that turn.
I mean, that's kind of cool. I don't know what Mangled does, but I mean, I would assume nothing good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
It still
Or,
feels weird to use my health to do that.
yeah.
yeah. There's
Also, do
also
you
a
have to, what
oh,
do
go
you
ahead.
do? Is the only way to heal yourself through feeding now?
Pretty much.
That's a bummer. I liked the idea of like doing rouse checks and like, I'm a vampire. I've figured out my body. I can just kind of make it do the thing,
Yeah, I can through the
Yeah.
force of will make my blood do the thing for my body. It's
Right.
metatextually now for V6. Basically, you are just sentient blood.
Yeah.
It's not your will controlling the blood in your. I don't know. It's just it's wonk. Ugh. Parts of this I really want to like, and parts of it I'm just like I'm not sure, dog. I'm sorry, Hunter. I feel like I interrupted you. I'm so sorry.
No. It's fine. I get that's kind of what I was talking about. Like now there's a third wolf in you. It's like your blood. It's like the human version of you is in there. This beast is in you, and like this sentient blood is like this third being pulled around by the rest of it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I'm
Like
waiting until we get to the tracker before I have my comments. I'm being good.
it no longer feels like you are the person that you were before trying to hold on to your humanity. And anyway, we can talk about that when we get there because John was asking about healing. um so to so this is for healing baneful damage because this is what we were talking about last. We still have to finish this up. So most common sources of fire and sunlight, and to heal, quote, once per night, you can spend 5 vitae and 1 willpower to mend 1 vitae of baneful damage, removing the crossed out marks on that box from left to right. You can't mend baneful damage on the same night you took the baneful damage. So it heals slow and it is expensive to heal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, damn.
So while it seems like sources of baneful damage are rare, when you do take it, fuck. And because it lowers your max vitae, even if you're fully fed, that's going to knock you into lower levels of your hunger threshold. So
Mm-hmm.
you'll
Mm-hmm.
be, which at first that might not be bad. It's just like, oh, I'm getting extra quickening. Cool. Start the scene with quickening. Give it to me.
Gimme.
But you're going to drop lower, obviously. So baneful damage affects you in a lot of ways. There is also a note here that I think is really important to note. If you have less than 5 vitae due to baneful damage, you can use the blood as you feed to heal in that moment. So you've taken enough baneful damage that you only have 3 vitae slots. You can go up, feed on someone, and then as you're feeding, heal that baneful damage. So you're spending the vitae,
Mm,
Mm.
but it says you
interesting.
specifically can only do that if you have less. I would probably just allow it anyway.
Yeah.
Seems fine. Even if you have 6 vitae slots, you're full on everything, and you just go out, feed 5 vitae off someone and heal yourself. You're still spending the willpower. You're taking the time to go out and feed. I don't see a
Yeah.
problem with that. The way it's phrased is that's a if your vitae is super banefully destroyed, but
Yeah, I would just hand wave that because it's just like, why are we adding this mechanical clunk to this thing? This is silly.
it's just like,
I mean, I
yeah,
would say maybe, if you're doing that regardless, I guess, might be a
Mm-hmm.
bit of a breach more so than even just biting somebody.
Oh, for sure.
yeah,
If
because
you're this dude with a dislocated shoulder runs up, bites somebody, and then the shoulder just pops back into place.
Or even more
Mhm.
likely, from what we know about baneful damage, burns all over their body.
Oh, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so a
Um,
rotisserie chicken rolls up to you. Yeah, that's gonna be a bad time. Oh,
I
and
know
then he
it.
bites your friend, and then magically he's suddenly just a hot psycho. You're like, what is
Yeah.
what?
Well, you can only heal one at a time, so you're not getting that much better.
Fair, fair. Okay, maybe not a full rotisserie chicken, but you're getting like Harvey Dent rolls up, bites your friend, and then he's just regular Harvey Dent, not Two Face anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
It's
problem.
he's Harvey Dent with a sunburn.
Yeah,
Um,
it's it's crazy. Oh shit. Okay. Sorry. I've been bothered since our recording of this first half of the mechanics because I've been like, why has the quickening tokens thing bothered me so much? And I couldn't figure it out. And I think I just figured out why it's been like also under my craw.
yeah, let's hear it.
It's basically making vampires run under like Highlander logic.
Okay, I've heard, and it's funny because I remember people describing bad vampire games from the 90s as Highlander.
Yeah, yeah. It's just very like there's this vague mystical power in you that is like physically tied to your body, but is also like kind of psychic energy that you can manipulate, but also not. I like the Handlander franchise. It's stupid. It's a fun time. I could just go play a Highlander game. I don't need this in my vampire game. But I think that would be my concern is that some of the stuff with the quickening abilities just becomes that and gets away from a lot of the like metatextual things about vampire tropes specifically that I enjoy, and that's why I play this fucking game.
Yeah, for me, I think it's more just the metagaminess of it than anything, and I don't like the swing of it. The
Yeah.
swing that and the changes that they've made to all the other dice mechanics to accommodate for this many auto successes and auto
Yeah.
fails.
Yeah. And it doesn't help that it's also called the quickening for the Highlander
Yeah.
logic. I'm like, it doesn't help.
Oh man, I
um
haven't thought about Highlander in a minute.
they're filming a new one. I'm kind of excited.
And
Oh, damn.
Highlander is popular enough; it had a whole ass TV show.
Yeah, the show was great. It was terrible. It's 90s cheese to the max, but
To be
it's
honest, that's
fun.
the thing that I know it most about
Yeah.
is the
It ran
show.
for 6 seasons, apparently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's fucking silly. I love it, but like I don't need that when I'm playing this fucking game.
Oh,
I
oh,
can go
there's
play
also
that other
Highlander
shit.
there's also Highlander the animated series. There's a couple
Mm-hmm.
TV series. There's also Highlander the Raven.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry to get off note, but I Googled this and I just realized there's even more Highlander than I thought.
There's so much Highlander.
I mean, your
Damn.
people must be in heaven.
Oh yeah, we're having a good time with it.
Damn, you can get the whole series on DVD for $60.
Hell
Advertisement.
yeah. Okay, so getting us back on track. I think the next thing was willpower. Yeah.
Willpower. Yeah, as long as we're done talking about health, yes.
Yeah. I'm good if John is good.
Let's go.
Ayo.
Not the biggest fan, but we'll see how it plays out, is my
Mhm.
wrap up on that one.
Alrighty. So the next yes is willpower. So for your willpower, let's see, it's your mental health and a measure of stress, confidence, and concentration. So to determine your willpower, you take 5 plus your composure plus your resolve. So
Okay.
on our adventure here, we have our 5.
Mhm.
Our composure is a 3. And then our resolve is also a 3. So that means that our willpower is 11.
So
Okay.
at base character creation, the highest a willpower could be is like 12 unless you get like a merit or a power.
I believe so. It depends on the whole
Okay.
generation thing. We'll have to talk about that when we get into character creation.
Okay, cool.
Because I'm not sure
Cool.
how it depends on what generation you're starting at, obviously. If you start with more powerful characters, you're gonna have higher numbers.
Yeah.
And they seem to be wanting to get away from only playing base level vampires. So but yes, continuing on. Take willpower damage from social conflict when triggering some disciplines, and quote, when your mind or personality is harmed.
Okie dokie.
Yeah, it's another one of those little vague there. It does go into detail a little bit more, but let me see here. Actually, it doesn't. It does not go into detail about what that means specifically. I assume it has to it does say see social conflict later in this chapter, so I assume that that's like social conflict stuff. So more of the social conflict, which was my least favorite thing about the playtest, but I didn't want to do a whole section on combat because that's going to be like that would be a whole episode of itself. So I assume it's tying into that. But when you reach 0, you take a self-control test, risking a rage frenzy. You can ride the wave and voluntarily frenzy.
Okay.
So they did bring back riding the wave.
Riding the wave is still in 5th edition. You could just do that.
No, that's what I'm saying. They brought it back.
Oh,
They're bringing it
okay.
still.
They've continued it on. Okay.
Yes.
Cool. My bad.
No, so and then to regain willpower, you gain it through feeding a human to death, gains 1 will. Riding the wave recovers 2 after the frenzy. Extreme accomplishments can gain 1 to 3 per ST judgment. The book happens that these are big enough accomplishments that they only happen once or twice per story. That goes into like campaign and chronicle length, and that's really up to the ST. But basically they're very rare accomplishments. This is like achieving a main character goal, something like that, I would say. You can also quote rile your nature, marking 1 monstrous or mortal box for 1 will. So you can voluntarily give in to your beast or your nature to heal. So willpower is interesting because doesn't seem like there's a whole lot here. Like you go into a rage frenzy run, you run out, you lose it in social combat, you lose it when you're casting disciplines. And that's about it. There's no equivalent to baneful damage to your will, but it is way harder to heal in general, it seems like.
Yeah. And there's not any using willpowers to get a retest or anything, right?
No, at least not in the willpower section. If there's I wouldn't be surprised if there's like a discipline that costs a willpower to pop. I will say though that going back to my Ventru character here, looking at the cost of some of these discipline powers and how hard it is to gain willpower. I thought that spending vitae, your health, to use a discipline power seemed like kind of anti-fun because you're just gonna not want to do it and risk like hurting yourself. Doing that to your willpower, holy shit. Like if you're playing a social character, it's gonna be rough. Like you do have 11 of them, but you can lose a lot in social combat, at least from my single experience with social combat during the playtest. It was pretty easy to lose willpower if you're actually using social combat, and like every single dominate power costs at least 1 willpower to start.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I spaced just a little bit. How do we heal it?
So you have to feed a human to death to gain a single willpower. If you run out, feeding human all the way to death gains you 1 will back. If you ride the wave when you completely run out in a rage frenzy, after the frenzy's over, you get 2. You start with 2. I think otherwise you get 1. I don't think it specifically says, but it doesn't make sense for you to end a frenzy and then be at 0 again. Would you just immediately frenzy?
Right, that'd be silly.
Yeah, so I would say if you voluntarily ride the wave, you get 2 instead of 1. And then extreme accomplishments can gain 1 to 3 per ST judgment. That's what I was talking about earlier, where it was like they only happen once or twice per story, and they're like it sounds like they want them to be major events, like you achieving like personal character goals or like upstaging your rival at Elysium, things like that. Like big events.
Right.
So this seems tough as fuck to get back. Like these seems like going on full side quests, and that's the main source of a whole category of discipline powers, like all mental discipline powers. And like my Ventru here, every single discipline power that I have is based on willpower. So she's never spending her vitae, but like using cloud memory costs 1 willpower. Using submerged directive costs 2 willpower. Sending deliver command 1 willpower. Fortitude, under fortitude I have unswayable mind, but that also costs 1 willpower because it's a mental discipline, even though it's under fortitude.
Yeah, and each of those, every time you use that, that's just a
1
human you
willpower.
have to drain dead.
Yeah, so every time you use it, it's at least 1. Because like I said, Submerged Directive costs 2 willpower. So
Right.
that's 2 people you have to drink to death.
That's wild.
You can also voluntarily take Beast or Nature marks, like I said, to take it back, which we're going to get into next. I'm definitely not delaying starting on that mess, but
Oh.
but yeah, like willpower for as short as a section is, it seems really punishing. Like as someone who tends to like I mean my favorite clans are Malkavian and Ravnos. Like and I play a lot of Ventrue. Like I tend to play a lot of like mental social characters, you know what I mean? A lot of dominate,
Mhm.
a lot of illusion, a lot of stuff like this. Rough. Like if I could like there's such a huge difference between I'm casting a fortitude power that makes me tough. It costs 2 vitae. Okay, I have to drink 2 blood
2
points to get
dots.
that back.
Yeah.
And I did the same thing to use a mental power. I have to drink that costs 2 willpower. I have to go drink 2 humans to death, not the equivalent amount of blood points. It specifically says to death. That just seems fucking unbalanced unless these discipline powers are like way more power than full than the physical ones. Like anything under willpower would have to be more powerful
Yeah. Also,
be-
like,
because while it can't kill you, it's going to be
uh-huh.
harder, or you just hit your bottom willpower and then ride the wave, and you're constantly 2 dots away from frenzying, riding the
Like,
wave, doing it again, and
yeah, I'm not against the, character regaining a willpower from doing the murder because, your beast is a psycho. That's fine and good. It's just if that's one of the only surefire ways to rebuild this trait, like I'm just like sitting here going, like characters that are in the cam or the anarchs who care enough about maintaining the masquerade are just fucked.
That's what I was
yeah.
thinking too.
Yeah, like
Um,
and just even look at it from like just the role play section of this. Like if you're playing a Sabat character, sure, I sure love killing, and here I go again, boys. This is great. I feel great doing this. But if you're playing a character where they actually give a fuck about society and not getting everyone murdered because you wanted a happy meal, what the fuck? Like this
not only
completely disincentivizes players from trying to even attempt to try to role play the game.
Yeah, it also depends where you are on your moral journey, right? But
Mm-hmm.
feeding someone to death to gain 1 willpower, or you can voluntarily just mark a beast box and gain that willpower back. Depending on where you are, feeding someone to death is going to be should be triggering your humanity. Like
Yes.
you can very easily as a vampire feed and not kill someone. Unless you are in a frenzy, you are actively choosing to kill someone. You have the
Yeah.
control. You have the option to say yes or no unless you are in a frenzy and you're rolling against it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So it also, if you're in that position, it does not make sense to ever take the feed on someone to death option when you could just mark the thing and also not risk the masquerade.
Yeah. Okay. It's just yeah, sorry, just the consummate high humanity player for a moment was like, what the fuck? So I'm just never taking mental disciplines ever, which is fine. I've kind of been on a kick for the past several years of never playing dominate powers because my player characters just think it's icky because free will's important. Uh but like if it's like a presence power or like obfuscates technically like a mental discipline,
Yeah.
yeah, like Auspex, these other powers, I'm just like, the fuck? I also am sitting here going, casting blood sorcery is also kind of is like super a mental thing. Like, what the fuck happens with this?
Yeah, we haven't dug into those, but just looking at like the basic costs of disciplines and then the cost of regaining what you're spending for that, wild.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna have to spend a lot more time in the game focused on these side quests to regain like willpower and to some
Mhm.
extent vitae, especially healing baneful damage.
Yeah.
Like baneful damage and willpower are gonna take so much side questing time to deal with
Yeah.
unless you're hand waving it, and at that point the whole system feels
Moot.
yeah, it's if you're just like all right, you spend the first hour of your night going and feeding, and all right, you take a baneful off. and you're
Yeah,
not
at
role
least
playing that out.
yeah, like at least for the willpower, I think a quick fix for this would be when you wake up at the start of the night, your willpower refreshes at the rate of your resolve and composure, which I know comes from V5, but it's a hey, you took a rest.
You took a rest, or you give it make it generation based. Like
Yeah.
higher generations, you get one back per night. Lower generations, you get multiple back per night.
Yeah.
Or do it off feeding, where you gain one for every 2 blood points or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I just yeah, it's just there
Or you
has
have to choose. You have to choose when you take blood. Do you want this to go to Vitae, or do you want this to go to
willpower.
willpower? Or even I can spend Vitae to heal willpower, because you
Honestly,
can
I'm
still
kind of cool with that.
like, I feel like
Yeah,
those are
actually, I like
all.
that a lot.
Just some fucking something. I'm not saying you need to make it easy ooh woo. I should just be slanging vampire powers like I slang dong or anything like that. But uh it's like
What
people are playing these games to use cool vampire powers. Let them do it.
What I
Please.
see as being the problem is, at least from my experience with the quick play test, going into this with new players and even experienced players from previous editions, and you saying you're starting your first V6 Chronicle, what I see happening is a lot of people just going all out using their abilities and whatnot. You know what I mean? You're dropping dominate abilities, you're not too worried about it. Then you get low, and then you're like, oh shit, I need to heal up. And that's when you really realize like what it's going to cost to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then
So
like the whole coterie is stuck in this like, well, we're all fucking hungry and beat to shit and out of willpower.
I guess we go home now? I
Like
just
obviously you can read the rules and know what you're going into, but I feel like if they're trying to bring in new players, I feel
yeah.
like not really taking that cost into mind would be the problem I'd foresee happening there personally.
Yeah. 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 It's yeah. So the playtest will be interesting.
That's why I thought about extending it a little bit for our version, writing a
Mhm.
couple more scenes, just because like
Yeah. Yeah,
there's
it's
a
just like
lot
a
to try out here, and like
yeah.
I don't know. So
Yeah, at least yeah, I was gonna say I think for our playtest, if you want to do the base playtest and then continue things for like another night or two or however that plays out, might be good because it's like these mechanics seem fine for a one shot, and if you've only been playtesting one shots, I see how you end up with situations like this where all the mechanics are you blow your load like you haven't seen your wife because you've been stuck adrift on the ocean for 6 months. And then it doesn't matter because it's a one shot, you're done. Woof. You hang the character up blah. But for a longer chronicle, I'm just like, this is a nightmare. But like not a fun nightmare that I signed up for.
Yeah, I can't decide if like this is gonna make feeding. I mean, obviously it's gonna make like, okay, we gotta feed all the fucking time.
Hmm.
Which is kind of cool, vampire and all. But I can't decide
Yeah.
if I'm worried that it's gonna go back to literally just like, okay, let me crack this Capri Sun, which takes away a lot of that horror, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, it
and it
takes
is it
it.
is going to be per table,
Hmm.
but that does come into question. Like, um, same with V5. I've played V5 games where like every session we had a hunting scene for like one player, at least one player. We started with them hunting, and then you'd hand wave it for the others because you're not going to run 4 hunting scenes. That's half your session. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But you get to focus on one per game, hand
Yeah.
wave everyone else, but you're still getting to dive into that. And I've played other games where it's just like figure it out on the go. And I've played other games where it's kind of like, we're not going to worry about that so much, but I'm only going to give you X amount per night in between sessions or whatever.
Yeah.
So that is really a
Hmm.
tabletop thing. I think that is going to get balanced a lot by play and feeling it out, getting the vibe, and deciding how much of this you really want to deal with. But it does seem much more important, like much, much more important. So it does seem like it's going to become a focus in V6 more, no matter what.
Yeah. It's just I find it interesting, at least in your summation about this like being more important going on, but I don't know if I've just been lucky as a storyteller and a player for V5, especially the past like 2 years or so, where yeah, players want to gamble and they want to use the cool powers and stuff, but I don't know if that also comes down to I as a storyteller in the couple of games that I've been playing, those storytellers have been a little bit more free with giving XP, so therefore players can invest in more powers and stuff, so therefore they have more tools in the shed. To go back to our boy Shrek. And therefore they have more cannons to use and they want to use the fucking cannon, so therefore they're doing more rouse checks, which is forcing more feeding scenes. I don't know if that was part of the summation about those two systems being different so far. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard to say.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we're ready. Are you guys ready to jump into the humanity beast section?
Baby, I'm
Let
gonna
me
try
look at my
so hard to
water.
be good and let you talk about this before I scream.
All right. So I've got
We
to
could just
say,
mute you, and then you could scream as much as you want.
Yeah.
that's true. So I'm going to give you guys and everyone listening a warning. I worked on this all last night, all this morning, and really struggled a good way to sum this up. For as much as like the simplifying and streamlining they've done of other mechanics in the game, it seems like this is where a lot has gone. So this is going to unfortunately be a lot more of me directly quoting out of the book, because there's just so much going on here and I want to make sure it comes across properly. And we're still going to discuss it, have our opinions and stuff, but it's a lot. It's a lot. There's a lot going on here. So if this gets a little complicated, and we lose you, I apologize. But
Don't worry,
so
I'm gonna get lost too.
We're on the
there you
journey
go.
together. Hurrah.
Yay. So your beast and human nature seem like a much bigger focus in V6. Like I said, this is like where the focus really seems to be going. Your beast is conceptually the same as in previous editions, you know. It's that thing that lives in your blood when you get embraced. It's that new voice in your head, you know what I mean? It's the monstrous part of you. It's the vampiric thing now living in your body. Your humanity is the new mechanical representation of who you were before you're embraced. We
Cool.
talked about
I
this a
dig
little
that.
bit. Yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's odd, in that we talked about this earlier, but it now makes like, what are you playing? Some third thing, some sort of sentient blood? Are you
Yeah.
just your your consciousness has become disattached from your body or cloned or something, and your old human is now fighting with who you are now? I don't know. Lore wise, it's a very interesting change. Let's see. I said that part about already, but yeah, it seems like this is where a lot of the complexity lies. So much stuff is tied into this. So far, we kept saying we'd get to it, so this is going to tie into basically everything else we've touched on so far. But this whole mechanic is now represented on a scale called humanity. This is at the near the very top of the character sheet, right below your attributes and like your basic character name and stuff like that. It is the humanity scale. On the left is the monster side, and the right is the mortal side. The monster side represents your beast, and the mortal side represents your nature. So just describing this out because it is a gauge and there's a lot going on. At the very center, there are 7 boxes, 1 in the center, and then 3 on each side. These are your monstrous to mortal range. And this is that balancing act between the two. So that's where you're going to kind of be sliding back and forth. Now, to the sides of over these, you have 5 separate boxes on the left called Beast, and on the right, you have 5 separate boxes called Nature. We'll get into how these interact in a little bit, but these are like when you go full monstrous, you then mark off a Beast. And I believe when it's in the earlier stuff, when it's like you can voluntarily mark off a Beast or a Nature, these are the ones that you're marking off, not your monstrous mortar scale. They're your bigger swings.
Yikes.
Yeah, so maybe I'm wrong, but V6 is feeling like it might be a shorter game types edition.
We're looking at more of a Delta Green of vampires here.
Yeah. So one thing I do think is really interesting and cool is that your beast ties into your clan now, with specific rules per clan that determine how your beast operates. So these are on page 60 in the clan section if you want to go look those up. I've got my Ventru here, for example. So for my beast, my Ventru beast is superior. Your beast demands loyalty and fealty, deeming your blood to be superior to others. So
how you're so the clan you are determines kind of how your beast behaves. It could be that bit of your antediluvian's personality flowing through you, if you want to consider it like that. Um, and then let's see here. Then you actually choose your nature during character creation. So that one's those seem to be free. I don't think there are any that are clan specific or anything. I think pretty much all the natures are just up for grabs. My Venture's nature was perfectionist. You strive for perfection.
Yeah. For people that didn't play the older editions, this kind of reads like a retooling of like the nature demeanor system, like for revised and V20 and stuff, where you have your nature is like who you are as like the core of your personage, and then demeanor is like the way you socialize and interact with people. You could pick nature and demeanors that are like very, they work well together. It makes sense. You're kind of a balanced person. Or you could pick ones that are very different and basically represent your character, like masking or hiding who they really are as a person in society and things like that. So it's kind of, it feels like it's in that vein, except instead of your nature and demeanor, it's your nature and then your beast. And they're both, we're back to the two wolves inside of you joke. Yeah.
So I'm not
You
gonna.
said the two wolves inside of you, and I just saw that meme of the two astronauts in space looking
Yeah.
at the Earth, and it's
Yes,
like
it's
always
always
has been.
always has been, which I know I am edging my comment. I know I'm gonna wait till Hunter is done explaining things before I have my comments. So continue on,
Yeah,
friend.
yeah, Sarah, stop edging. Um,
No.
so I'm not going to go super into the description of the beast here. I'm assuming anyone here who's specifically listening to us yap about alpha test rules has played a previous edition of Vampire. They know what the beast is. It's that monstrous thing inside of you when you got embraced, telling you what to do. It's pretty much exactly the same. There's some mechanic differences, but lore-wise, what it is, the same. I am going to pull a quote out here for nature, though, because that is new and I think it's interesting. So, quote, your nature is what you believe makes you more like a human, grounding you in your relations with mortals and vampires alike. It holds the ideals, beliefs, and behaviors you associate with being mortal. You often partake in them obsessively, reminding yourself of who you are and convincing yourself that you are more than just the shadow of who you were before. So this is the opposite side of your beast. So these two are kind of in a constant struggle over who's in control.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Skipper,
that
go ahead.
that right there seems kind of concurrent with what's been going on. I don't know that the tracker is something that I love, but Beast being the same, nature being like who I feel like I was before, I like it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that the nature demeanor stuff was kind of cool.
Yeah.
So bringing a flavor of that back is nice.
Yeah, I'm for bringing like having that throwback remix from the older systems. I'm cool with the way this tracker is, though. I'm gonna be completely honest, dog. This just feels like Werewolf.
I felt like Unknown Armies the whole time we were looking
Yeah,
at
this just it feels like Werewolf to me, where it's like, okay, you have this monstrous thing on one side, and then you have this like instead of having like there's two wolves inside of you. One is an incel, and one is as a terrorist. Uh, it's you have two wolves inside of you. One is a hot psycho, and the other one is this idealized version of yourself. You're not entirely sure if it's actually you anymore or not, or whatever. Existential terror. And you're trying to find a balance between the two. Am I misunderstanding this, Hunter?
No, I think that sounds about right.
Cool. Yeah, I don't like this for Vampire the Masquerade because it changes the fundamental like thing with being a vampire. Because vamp, like vampires are just like liminal, like you're transitioning into dying. Like the whole thing with the humanity tracker and watching yourself like spiral and become more of the beast or whatever the vampire thing is inside of you is you are part of that horror is watching yourself die. So having the humanity tracker go only in one direction mechanically reinforces that. Now that we have a tracker where there's two ends of a spectrum and now you're trying to maintain a balance, it just really removes that form of existential dread, and I'm like, okay, so what am I playing now? Like, what am I doing here? Like
I think
metatextually, what are we playing?
I think this specifically could be interesting for clans like Salubri,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it is. I mean, you are still spiraling in different directions because the balance is at the center, but
Mm-hmm.
you are still overall your actual beast. Looking at the character sheet, your actual beast and your nature are being filled up. If I'm reading this right, it's your monstrous and mortal, which you're trying to balance and stay in the center. But every time one of those tips over, you mark a beast or a nature box, and that's a
Mm-hmm.
more permanent type of, we'll call it damage for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
So let me pull a quote up here from the trackers thing so we can get into this.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. So these are for the outer ones. On your character sheet, 2 sets of 5 boxes sit on your humanity scale. 1 set for your monster side, represented by your beast, and 1 set for your mortal side, represented by your nature. These boxes track how far each side can be strained before one snaps its leash and takes control of you. Marking off a box on either tracker represents that side is riling up, straining towards its own extreme. And it goes and talks about like what the beast actually means, the kind of stuff you
Yeah.
do to get there, and that you go into a beast frenzy when you
Mm-hmm.
finally fall to its control. And then nature, you have outbursts where you dive deep into like your human nature. So like my Ventru, it's like their perfectionist side comes out very strongly. I'm gonna read the nature
Yeah.
one because this is so new. I think it's worth giving a better ear to.
Yes.
But so marking off a box on the nature tracker represents your beliefs, ideals, and sense of self calling to you. It presses you towards the goals and convictions you cling to instead of your base instincts and desires, and it calls for you to remember what it was to be immortal. Each night, your mortal side reminds you of your goals, your greater plans, and the beliefs that drive you. Ignore those reminders too long, and you risk a crisis of self, hurling yourself toward desperately into whatever makes you feel like the person you were. See outbursts, but leaning into your nature is no refuge either. Cling too hard, hold the facade of humanity too tightly, and your ideals can seize you as surely as any hunger, driving you to acts as reckless as your beast's own.
Ah.
It does make playing high humanity characters tough, is what I'm getting from at least the description. I don't know about mechanically.
Mm. I I think I'm just having some very philosophical like problems with this cuz like what do you mean you can be too human and have a psychotic break?
Yeah, that's really strange. I will say this next quote here from this next section I think is important because it
Mhm.
does say, quote, as a vampire, your very existence depends on the draining of the life of others. Thus, the pull of your monster side is inherently stronger than the pull of your mortal side. It grows stronger every time you drink blood. So it also says this does confirm right here what I was talking about earlier. Killing a mortal, no matter who it is or what it was doing, makes you mark off 1 box on the beast tracker.
Okay.
So that feeding someone to death to get a willpower is no different than just automatically marking the box. You could just mark the
Okay.
box, say, "Okay, got it." So that's bad mechanically, just because it doesn't make sense
Yeah.
to waste the time. Um,
Yeah,
it also
it's Oh, go ahead.
it also says feeding on mortals and draining their life can cause you to mark boxes on the beast tracker depending on the state of the mortal after the feeding. And then there's a whole properties of the blood section later in the book it points you to. So even if you're not feeding someone to death, if you're feeding a lot off someone, you're leaving them like feeling sick or whatever, you can also get beast points for that. Or at least if you're
Okay.
not marking a whole beast point, you're at least taking, I'm guessing, monstrous. You're moving on the monstrous scale, not marking the full big beast.
Yeah, and it's I don't know. There's also just this like, okay, so okay, I think the best way to articulate this is like your mortal side, because of the way the scale is, it is forcing a situation in the metatext where it's like being a human and being a vampire are like equally problematic.
Yes. And
Like, what?
I read it more personally as like a you are becoming in touch with your humanity and it's freaking you the fuck out.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh my God, that's what I used to be. I am no longer that person. I am no longer that thing. Like that I am a completely different creature. And I saw it more as you're just freaking the fuck out because you're realizing what you are becoming versus what you used to be. So you're clinging to the things that made you feel more human, desperately doing like, ridiculous shit to get that.
Yeah.
I
It's
personally, I think I like that. I think it's kind of cool.
it's like a midlife
If it's
crisis.
yeah.
It's like I used to wake up
Um,
every night to go skateboarding with my friends, but now
Yeah.
if I don't go to the office and drink blood,
Yeah,
how am I going to feed the kids?
I get what you guys are saying, but this kind of goes back to the problem I have with the drama dice, which is I as a player for Vampire don't need a mechanic to do the thing I should be doing.
I
This
agree with
should
that.
just be the game. What?
I also
What?
feel like this feels very complex. Feels
Yeah.
very complex. Like here, this is an optional rule, but like it took me a second to even wrap my head around what it's saying. 'Cause it was saying like here's ways, killing someone, feeding those kind of monster sacks. There's a next section right after. Let me quote. For example, in a game themed around romance, acts of great cruelty or betrayal could make you mark a box on the beast tracker. While in a game themed around loyalty, acts that force you to break a promise could make you mark a box on the nature tracker. What?
What?
How does
So
break in a
marking on
game
Depends
the
on that
themed
one.
how does a
yeah, wait.
game themed around loyalty, you break your promise, that makes you mark a box on your nature tracker? Is it because you're doing something so from your human nature that you broke your
Yeah.
promise? Like your
Okay.
promise is you're going to kill someone, you don't kill someone, and so that makes sense. But at the same
Yeah.
time, I think that's just a vagueness thing.
Yeah,
But
because it's like I want to see I want to see this with good intentions and like the way you guys have kind of landed on this tracker, I really do. But it's like hard for me because trying to have your vampire character like keep on their humanity or like try to have like a code of ethics that keeps them humane should be the good thing or something that like helps temper the beast thing. And from what this tracker is presenting, it seems like if you do the thing what lets you keep your connections with humanity, you're gonna get punished for it.
Yeah, I didn't really read it like that because of
Yeah.
especially because of the thing that Hunter just read about like
Hmm.
breaking a promise. Because again, that is like a very, I
Hmm.
don't know.
No, it's I see where you're going with this, but it's just I don't understand why we have two sides of a tracker because it's like if you're doing something that would go against your character's nature and therefore like pull them away from their own humanity, shouldn't that just be another mark on their beast end of the scale? Why do we have this other end of the scale? Am
yeah.
I making
No,
sense? Am I
yeah.
overthinking this?
No, Sarah, you might like this a little bit more because it does reward you for acting on these things outside of being forced to mechanically.
Hmm.
So I'm skipping ahead. It talks about how you can rile for willpower, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it does say, quote, every time you see a chance to satisfy your impulses or act on your beliefs, take it. Giving aside what it wants before it takes control by force is the only way to hold it in check for a while. When you perform an activity that is aligned to either side, erase one marked off box on its respective tracker, regaining that box. The activity must take at least 10 minutes or a full scene to be completed and should complicate your situation, even if only by costing you time. And
Okay, that I do like.
once per session, if a side's tracker is empty, remember to mark off one box from each at the start of the night. So every night you do regain one. This is the first time I've seen that in this section, by the way. Maybe I missed it, but
Mm-hmm.
and you perform an activity aligned with that side, you can slide one step along the humanity scale in that side's direction. You can't use this to slide the scale to monstrous or mortal 3. You can reach stage 3 of either side only by going through a beast frenzy or outburst, both detailed later in this section. So the
Mm-hmm.
order of some of this being explained, and I think that's part of why I've had so much trouble summarizing it, even though I've read through this a couple times, is the order and why I wanted to just kind of quote a lot of this section to you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is like the longest section on any one mechanic in the entire beta or alpha. It's not even a beta yet, but the order it presents stuff, like some of the stuff I kind of wish it would have explained first more, like the tiers, how you gain and lose them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just Yeah, I think my big hang up is because they're labeling the opposite side of the beast as mortal as opposed to like morals. I think is where my weird hang up is because it's like, yeah, I think having the tracker go from you're a monstrous psycho to you're having an existential crisis because you're a psycho, I think is good. I think that's cool. That could be working well. It's just something about that is just clanging in me really hard and just making me go, this just feels way too much like somebody put Werewolf of the Apocalypse in my VTM game. And
It
I don't
also
know how to
just
feel
feel
about it.
it also just feels like a fucking lot to keep track of.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong, but it's like way more complicated, like gamified system for something that I think could be largely role played.
Hmm.
And I'm sure this will be helpful for new players. People aren't super experienced in like more role play focused games. People who've played largely like combat focused D&D, wanting to get into like more social, more role play focused games. I think a
Hmm.
mechanic like this is cool, but I feel like experienced players are going to ignore this. I think that's what, at least from my reading of this, me thinking about how I'd run this game, I think I'd forget. I think I'd
Yeah.
forget to keep track of all my players' different natures and beast types. And every time they do something that's going in multiple directions, having them mark. And especially if you have new players, putting that on them to track too. Now imagine if you have a new ST.
Hmm. Hmm.
At least with Beast, it's just like, oh, you did something evil. Look at the
Yeah.
chart. Where are you at? Is that more or less evil than where you are currently?
Yeah. Oh, hey.
This being a constantly moving goalpost,
Hmm.
but what were you gonna say? You said, hey?
Oh, yeah. Hey, I'm trying to yes and stuff Skipper has brought up because he's like brought up good points. I don't inherently disagree with them, but I'm just looking at the chart and the chart is pissing me off. Robert, I don't
Mhm.
like this rock. Um, Skipper, I kind of yes anding what you were saying. I think if we have the humanity scale have beast on one side and then like morals or morality on the other side, what if we just get rid of that middle shit? Because that just seems to overcomplicate everything. Just get rid of that middle section. So you just have 5 boxes for beast, 5 boxes for mortal, and then you just check them. And if you get to a crisis point where you filled all 5 boxes, you either have a frenzy or you have a crash out. Do you think that would like
It would
keep in
definitely
with what you were
simplify
liking
it.
about this?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be down for that too.
Mm-hmm.
I think my only worry is like I like the idea of you hit 0 or 10 or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
much like in old editions. It's like in older editions you hit 10 humanity and like you are now an NPC pretty much. You
Mm-hmm.
hit 0 humanity, you're now a white. And I think
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that's why they did the middle tracker to make it more of a struggle back and forth instead of, oh shit, I just hit 5 beast. I'm a white now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So I mean, I think that simplifying it in some way is a good idea, but I like the idea of, look, you keep fucking around too much, you're gonna lose yourself and lose yourself, whether it
yeah.
be in the psychosis of, oh my God, I'm not a human, but I feel human and I this, that, and the other, or
Mm-hmm.
the, succumbing to the beast.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to lose that either because that's like one of my favorite things of the 0 to 10 humanity scale.
Yeah.
Like that's great. It's a you do too good or you do too bad, and I get to take your character sheet now as your storyteller. Thank you. Thank you for the suffer puppet.
Yeah.
uh yeah, and it's like
I think
I
simplifying it wouldn't be a bad idea, but
yeah.
I don't know. It's hard.
Oh, yeah, you're all good. Yeah, it's like I appreciate the attempt of trying to do something different with it.
Hmm.
Um I just don't know if this is gonna be it, dog. I don't know, maybe having a humanity scale be like two little rows of like little check boxes where there's the 0 through 10, like your base, like this is your humanity rating. Just as like this is where you're sat at on the scale. It doesn't do anything mechanically, it just lets you see are you too human or are you too beastie? And then you have those check
Right.
boxes underneath, and that's the stuff that like fluxes over the course of the story, like session to session, and
Hmm.
that's what causes crash outs, maybe. I
Maybe.
don't know.
Again, I feel like we're gonna have to play it out and like really get an actual feel for it too, which is
Oh,
kind
for
of hard in a
sure.
one shot. But
Yeah, so we've mostly been talking about beast and nature here. So the only other thing I want to note here is that if you fill either tracker,
Mhm.
here I'll just quote, you risk losing control to that side as it bursts outward. To resist, you must make a self-control, composure, and resolve test against a difficulty of 3 plus your generation modifier. So the lower generation, harder this is. On a success, erase one marked box on that tracker. On a failure, you go into a beast frenzy for beast or outburst for nature for the rest of the scene, but you erase all marked boxes on that tracker. On a painful failure, the storyteller gains 1 drama in addition to the normal effects of a painful failure. See Beast Frenzy and like for outburst weapon to lose control. At the end of the Beast Frenzy or outburst, you slide 1 step on the humanity scale in that side's direction. Monstrous if you suffered monstrous, or mortal if you suffered an outburst. So I did misspeak earlier. So beast and nature are both filling up individually. When you fill them, when you fill one, you go into your frenzy. You then slide in either direction on the humanity scale. So the humanity scale is the big spooky one. The beast and nature are the smaller ones that you're constantly filling up. You lose 1
Okay.
per night, but your humanity scale, that's like the gauge, stays where it is until you have a frenzy or outburst, I believe. So I did
Okay.
misspeak earlier. This is
Okay.
like my second time reading. No, this is my second time reading through this today. This is like my 5th time reading through this. But
Okay. I'm less annoyed. I'm still not the biggest fan, but I think Skipper's right. We might just have to like do a playtest that's more than just a one shot to really see how we feel about it.
I know this is an alpha, but what this really needed is pictures or at least a cap of this gauge laid out in the rules section and it explaining these things, because the order it's giving all this and the way it's just kind of vaguely saying beast and nature and monsters and mortal and humanity and throwing all these words around, it's taken me a little while to actually put all this together in the way that it's
So you're saying we
actually
needed a
going to
chart?
work. Yeah,
So you're saying we needed a chart?
I think this needed a fucking diagram.
We need a graphics, please.
Yeah. So you have your beast frenzy. Your beast frenzy is based off your clan. So you have the type of beast you are, you go into that kind of frenzy. Outburst depends on the nature you pick. So you have that kind of one.
Okay.
And to tie it back into the previous sessions, if you painful failure trying to resist a beast frenzy, and you don't ride the wave, your ST gains a drama.
Okay.
If you act out your beast frenzy and it puts you or your coterie in a worse mess than you were in already, you gain 1 quickening. So you can gain quickening and drama from this. The exact same is true with outburst. So if you do role play these out to actually like fuck with you or your in-game situation, you do get quickening out of it. I think that's a cool little incentive. I'm still not a huge fan of quickening with how easy it is to lose anyway, but
yeah.
there's also suggestions here. We're not going to dive deep into it right now, but how to guide your role play using your boxes. So it just basically talks about like, oh, your box, you can use this to kind of see where your character is at and how they're feeling, their emotional state, and that's cool. I think in a way, at the same time, sometimes I think you can just role play that. I think this is my biggest, I know Sarah said this earlier, but this is my biggest, I don't need a mechanic to determine how my character is feeling.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that is just role play, so you could kind of just hand wave it. But then you have the actual humanity scale, which I thought this whole thing was the humanity scale. The way it's labeled on the character sheet, it makes the beast, nature, monstrous, and mortal thing, the whole thing, the humanity scale. But at least the way this is writing out, I think the humanity scale is just the one labeled monstrous to mortal. So those 7 dots. The 4th in the center being neutral, and then there's 3 in either direction towards them. So Let me read this out because I think this is a good example of really what they're going for here. But each vampire carries within it its the sinister presence of the beast, a corrupting and powerful influence. It is at once the source of the vampire's powers and the force that pulls a vampire towards its darkest urges. The beast wants the vampire to succumb and become the monster it truly is. At the same time, each vampire still holds the memories of who it was and what it meant to be an individual with convictions, values, beliefs. Every night when a vampire wakes, both forces wrestle for control of the vampire's humanity, the core of who that vampire is. It is up to each vampire to either succumb to their demands or resist their pulls. And it talks about how that's what the scale represents.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Cool.
you start at the very beginning. It also notes that this scale is not necessarily good or evil, which is I think a little different than previous editions. I think generally acting immoral was bestial. The more immoral, the worse it was.
Mm-hmm.
This is more so this here says every vampire contains the aggressive, predatory, and impulsive presence of the beast, but vampires are as varied as the people who they once were. The vampire can do good deeds and still sit on the monster side of the scale, and the reverie is just as true, or the reverse is just true. Clinging to your nature can drive you to acts as cruel as anything the beast demands. The core of who you are is the duality of your beast and nature, and satisfying either side might lead you towards acts that are truly good or evil. So your humanity side is not like the angel on your shoulder. This is not the cartoon angel and demon on your shoulder. It's more like the cartoon generic dude and demon, I guess.
Generic dude, and then Patrick Bateman that is telling you to put a cat in the ATM.
Yes.
And they're both problematic, and maybe there could be some good moral nuancing in here. Okay. Having that little explainer makes me feel a little bit better because I have had some concerns because there's been so much talk from postings and what like people have told me from like the dev diaries and the panels and stuff that there is such a push to like bring in stuff from the older systems into V6 that I have a lot of cautions on that because in a lot of the older editions there was a lot of weird moralistic bullshit and it was very like in a certain framework and
Yeah.
I would prefer if we got away from that shit, please.
Yeah. Also, I think the way people are discussing it, the way the devs themselves have discussed it publicly, and then actually giving this a couple read throughs and talking out. I will say this barely came up whatsoever in the playtest we did. This, like I said, this is
Why
like
would it?
longer gameplay. Yeah, this is like longer gameplay. Seems like it's a thing that's probably going to need the most playtesting, and it's not something you can do in a one shot. Realistically, you need to do a full chronicle with these alpha rules to really get a feel for how this is going to work out. But those 7 dots on the humanity stage, they do affect you. So you start in the very middle, the 4th dot with 3 on the other side. That's pretty much neutral. It doesn't affect your stats, and it does affect your appearance. Quote, you appear as a recently deceased individual with tighter skin of a deathly pallor, but not clearly undead. You can usually pass as a mortal unless closely inspected. So it does affect how you look, which I think is interesting. I'm not going to read through all of these, but let's pop to the 2 on each just so we can kind of see what happens when you start sliding further into those directions.
Yeah. I was gonna say, thank you for the example.
Yeah, so that's where you're starting. So say you're going to the monstrous. So you're connecting with mortals becomes difficult, but exerting dominance over them starts to feel instinctual. You often struggle to resist your impulses and frequently give in to your desires. All right, so appearance-wise, you are clearly a walking corpse to anyone who pays attention. Your skin tightens, making your cheekbones, hips, and shoulders more pronounced. Your belly might distend, and your monster side becomes more obvious. And it does say how that manifests is up to you. Quote, your eyes could be red, you may have protruding canines, or your shadow is thicker and feels menacing to those who look at it for too long. So when you cast Blush of Life, it says as previous one.
So let's go back to the last one to read Blush of Life for monstrous. When Blush of Life is active, you can no longer consume food or liquids. If you do it anyway, you vomit at the start of the next scene and suffer a -1 dice penalty. Do all tests for the rest of that scene, and nausea takes over.
Mm-hmm.
That's confusing to me because you're casting Blush of Life to appear alive. Fine. What does it mean by you can no longer consume food or liquids? I assume that just means you still can't, because most vampires can't do that, right?
Yeah, I would assume it's more of a it goes from you can fake it to nope.
It does say you vomit at the start of the next scene. And then you get penalties through that. So I assume it means you can fake it. You can fake eating and drinking. But once that scene is over, you are going to throw up. And at like Monsters 2, now you vomit a few turns later rather than next scene, and your nausea is for the remainder of this scene and all of the next. And it also says at Monsters 2, in addition, you can't have sex unless you spend 1 extra vitae, and even then you feel no pleasure from it. You also get you also get predatory presence. So again, it's saying as Monsters 1, so fucking your vampire nature can be subtly felt by mortals. While you remain at this stage, you gain the following effects. Blah blah. So you suffer -1 dice penalty to all tests that involve connecting with, convincing, or positively influencing a mortal, and you gain a +1 on intimidating, scaring, or commanding them. The 2, it just becomes a -2 or +2. So fine. And then you finally get the beast within. As the beast exerts more control, the gifts it brings grow stronger. You gain a +1 dice bonus to any power test you make when using clan discipline. So your disciplines get more powerful. So that's what happens as you slide down the larger humanity scale towards being more monstrous. That's when you're at 2. 3 is the highest. 3 is the highest. There is no 4th. And I'll talk about what happens there in a second. But so to flip over to the monster or the mortal side too of that, you're deeply connected to your mortal side, typically more comfortable among humans and among others of your kind. Even your appearance reflects that connection, as your vampiric features grow harder to detect, but the beast inside you resents you as its influence weakens. So your appearance, you look like a mortal in almost every sense, and even animals have a hard time distinguishing you from a living person. Only a medical examination can reveal that you are undead. You also no longer need to spend vitae to cast Blush of Life. At Mortal 2, you can consume food up to 1 full meal each night without feeling ill, but you don't gain sustenance, and you still have to throw up at some point before the end of the night, but you don't get a dice penalty when you do throw up. At Mortal 2, you also gain a slow but steady heartbeat.
That's wild.
It does specifically say, quote, "This doesn't affect the rate at which you bleed when injured." So it's just the effect of it.
Your heart vaguely remembers doing this, yo.
Yeah. This is only when you're using Blush of Life. This is not a constant. This is only when you use Blush of Life. And you can choose if your body passively breathes.
Wow.
So like you become very, very human. It also does basically the exact opposite of the predatory presence I mentioned, where you now get a +2 to interact with humans and a -2 trying to intimidate, scare, being a dick to them. You also get the shackled beast ability, which, quote, "You have shoved the beast so deep inside you that you can barely hear it howling. You gain a +1 dice bonus to the test to resist any type of frenzy, but not to test to resist a mortal outburst."
Okay. This is okay. Now that there's more stuff on this, I'm less annoyed. I still think the graphic design layout for the tracker is going to be confusing as fuck.
Yeah, I think it could be
that might need to get retooled.
Yeah, I don't think the big gauge should be in the center. I don't know. It's tough because like it's the little ones chipping away at the big one. It's hard. So say before you go beyond Monstrous 3, like I said, there's only 7 dots, 3 for each and a neutral. So say you'd go into 4, basically you become a white.
Cool.
So you do still have the ability to become a white. And you fall to, it specifically says,
the storyteller gains control. You've lost control of the beast. You are now a white. Cool. I am gonna quote a little bit of this from the mortal side because this is so new. We like I said, you've probably played a little bit of this before. You know what a white is. But if not, it's someone whose beast completely controls them. Their humanity is gone. They're like a feral dog, basically, of a vampire.
Scary shit.
Yeah, terrifying. So if you go the opposite direction, fully mortal, you're seeking escape and quote, you have no, or let me skip ahead a little bit more. You become detached from the conflict between your monstrous and mortal side and from the pleasures and concerns of the mundane world. You come to understand that even though you can resist the beast as a few vampires ever could, you're still a monster wearing the face of a human. There's no place for you in mortal or vampiric society. You leave it all behind. Your journey in the world of darkness ends here, but you decide what becomes of your character. Work with your storyteller to determine how your character exits the game. None of these are a peaceful reward. They're merely the different shapes of leaving everything behind. Here are some examples. So one, your character goes on a search for enlightenment. It specifically mentions them chasing rumors of Golconda, or following some other road towards understanding vampiric existence. Another's entering torpor. You could just go into torpor for a long time. Just be like, fuck it.
I'm gonna take a nap.
I'm
I'm
out.
gonna take a nap right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you just go final death.
That's fair.
Yeah, you just go see the sun. Yeah.
Yeah, it does specifically say going to the shore to watch this one last sunrise.
What's up?
Another is just isolation.
I'm going to become a weird hermit and build a giant library and just all of you fuck off.
Yeah.
Hey, hold on now. What's wrong with
You're all
that?
terrible. I hate you. Listen. We love Pietro getting his little depression island. It's great.
Hey, he's loving it.
This last one I think specifically interesting, especially because it becomes an ST character. But the last one is penitence. Quote, your vampire seeks penance for a monstrous existence, finding it a way to shield mortals from the supernatural, perhaps guarding an isolated community from rampaging werewolves, or spending an eternity in solitude and self-ritual punishment that never ends.
Yeah.
So you basically you could just become a vampire hunter at that point. I do like shielding a isolated community from rampaging werewolves is mentioned too.
As though in your case the werewolf is actually the problem. Yes, that's no other reasons.
No, couldn't be.
Craziness. Okay. Yeah, I'm willing to hear this out. It's just I still am having some reservations just because, how do I explain this? Some of the mechanics that we've gone over so far in our talking about the V6 sounds like things that I'm like, this just feels like mage. This just feels like mage. Why is this over here? And then this gauge, I'm over here going, this feels a lot like werewolf. Okay, I'm willing to hear it out and see how it plays, though. We'll see how it goes. So I don't know if this is a good sign of, or even, guessing with like changeling, it's like having a balance between like your reincarnated fey concept self and then like your personal self. I guess this could also be a changeling scale, as well. So, like, I guess this could be a good sign of the active attempts of trying to get these multi-splats to play together, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, that'd be neat.
It would be neat.
Yeah.
I would like chocolate with my peanut butter. Please don't actually give me peanut butter. Please don't.
I'll eat it though. It's okay. You can send it to Sarah, and then I'll eat it.
Yeah, no, give it to John and Hunter. They can have the Reese cups.
I have one more quote for you guys to finish up this
Yes.
section.
Ayo,
and
let's go.
this is the part that I think threw me off. This is why I was so confused and talking this out loud with you guys. It's one of those things where if you read something so many times and your brain just like refuses to like click, and then you like actually discuss it and you're like, okay, I get it now. Like I just
Yeah.
had to like speak this into existence. I think
Mhm.
this part is one of the ones. So it's talk about how you recover lost, monstrous, and mortal, which is
Mhm.
the ones on the big humanity scale, the ones that have the large effect on you.
Yeah.
So it says, quote, to recover a lost circle on one side of the humanity scale, you must slide to the farthest circle remaining on that side of the scale and fulfill the conditions necessary to slide again in that direction. When you do, you recover a lost circle on that side, reopening it, though you don't automatically slide into that recovered circle. You can keep acting in ways that would repeat that slide to recover more lost circles, or stay where you are, mending yourself just enough to avoid fully losing yourself in either direction.
They use the word circle too many fucking times. I'm like, wait, what? Hold on. What is happening? Okay, so let's walk through this in the trying to recover from just the bestial side. So let's say you're 2 steps down the track on the bestial side and you want to repair one. What the fuck am I actually doing to go from to repair that one step? Like what is actually happening?
So to recover a lost, we'll call it bestial step or monstrous step, you must slide to the farthest circle remaining on that side of the scale and fulfill the conditions necessary to slide again in that direction. So I assume it means when it says you must slide to the farthest remaining on that side of the scale, it's talking about your beast and nature side, not the actual
Okay.
humanity scale itself. I don't know why I didn't put those words there, but I'm guessing that's what it means, because if you slide all the way down, you become a white, right? Like
Yeah, so
if you slide all the way the other way, you become Magicobo suicide man.
So no, we're suffering from the problem of the fucking Laws of the Night revised book where they use the word trait to describe fucking everything and you just start losing your goddamn mind.
Yes, I think
Yeah.
here for me it's the fact that in my mind, beast and monstrous and mortal and nature basically mean the same thing.
So pick one.
So, well, they're two separate scales though, so they need different names. So I understand why, but then half the time they're just saying they're not specifying here.
Yeah, no, it's
They're just saying you must to recover a lost circle on one side of the humanity scale, you must slide to the farthest circle remaining on that side of the scale and fulfill the conditions necessary to slide again in that direction. Just
yeah,
say beast. Just give us an example. Say beast.
yeah,
Just say beast or nature. You must fill
yeah.
your beast or nature and then move that
Yes.
direction again.
I'm still gonna stick with the pick one, because if it's the humanity scale and we have the bestial side of the scale and the mortal side of the scale, that's fine. You have little tick boxes that mark you taking a beast point, which skews the scale. Like you don't need 4 terms for this. That's and then using the 2 on each side almost interchangeably. It's get if you want to streamline things, use less words. Please use less
Yes.
words.
And
Uh,
I think what also is, if you're reading this book in order, and this
mhm.
I will give this as a compliment to the book. I tried to lay these 2 episodes out in the order that made the most sense to tie into each other. And it's basically the exact same order everything was in the book, except when I had to jump over into the ST guide a couple times for things, and I reorganized a couple things within the subsections that I think were better when discussing. But otherwise, they did a good job of putting everything in order. But I think by
Ayo.
the time you get to page 109, to start talking about what beast, the humanity scale, beast, humanity, mortal, monstrous, all this actually means, you have read them so many times. You have seen them, you've seen so many things interacting with them. It's talked about you spending willpower by marking one of these boxes off to regain, or spending one of these boxes to regain willpower. It's talked about intentionally marking them because you rolled dice poorly. It's talked about them in character creation. Like it's come up in almost every other section so far.
With no
So
context.
you've got these words in your head with no context. And I think that's why it took me sitting down and actually talking through this, because I had almost the opposite in my head of how this was working.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was basically just like, I'd been trying to guess what that was the entire time. So by the time I got to it, and some of it's just vague wording. Again, this is an alpha. I'm not trying to be mean. But I think
Mm-hmm.
this is a give us a chart, give us a diagram here, and
Mm-hmm.
legitimately, and it's an alpha. They might not just have that ready yet, but in the final book, it needs it. In the final book, it's gonna need a diagram, especially for people who aren't used
Yeah.
to role playing games.
I
For people used to
yeah.
playing simpler, like
like more
Dungeon Crawl
modern, like
Classics.
Dungeon
Yeah,
Crawl
yeah.
Classics, or like more zine based games, or like even like
Yeah.
D&D, a system like this.
Yeah, I would even say like beyond having the diagrams in the book, it might behoove them to have an official little video on whatever their YouTube channel is or social media is, just like actually walking through each step of this separately. Like, because my brain is
That'd be
just
kind
over
of
here
cute.
being like, yeah, it could be cute. But yeah, I've had to crack open a photo of somebody's player sheet from the alpha test at Gen Con to like visually understand what the fuck goddamn Hunter's talking about.
Yeah, I had to do the same when I was writing this because I left the printed off copy I have
Mhm.
upstairs, and with my leg I just didn't want to, so I had to like Google a picture of it while I was trying to write this summation out.
Yeah.
And as you can
Yeah,
see,
yeah.
you guys were looking at the script, the summation here just kind of ends in frustration. So that's why it
You did your
became a
best,
lot of
bud.
quoting it. Um,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, yeah. It's Hi guys, welcome to the gutty what's of doing game design.
and I
It's a
don't
lot
think
of you whack an idea on a table and then you do your best to explain it to your friends, but you and your friends are all stupid.
this is not an insult. I don't think this is
No.
bad, but I do think this is complex. And I think it's a level of complexity above everything else in the game. And I think that's my biggest problem, is because a lot of the other things have been streamlined. You know what I mean? The simpler
Hmm.
dice, the ST setting difficulties and not rolling, the simplified NPCs, so much of that we've talked about in the earlier or in this earlier in this episode and earlier, you don't have two or three different health trackers. You have one for all your health and blood, plus willpower, but you had willpower before. So, getting rid of contested dies. All that is like simplifying the game.
Hmm.
And then you're taking the beast humanity, whatever you want to call it, and turning it into all of this.
Hmm.
Um, and also I'd have to play test it, but only being like, I guess, three bestial frenzies away from becoming a white is interesting. It seems like you're much closer to becoming a white or leaving on the path of Golconda. It seems like it, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems much easier to do now because
Hmm.
it doesn't get harder to do the things that feed your beast, or your nature. Like in previous editions, it was, like you said, it was more moral based. Like at some point, you become inhuman enough where killing people doesn't fucking matter.
Hmm.
You have to do, you know what I mean? Like you have to do worse and worse stuff before you can become a white. Um,
Hmm.
so for a lot of people, they hit their chaotic neutral action movie hero spot on that tracker where they can shoot a couple people and not care and then just sat forever.
Hmm.
So in that sense
Yeah.
I do really like it because it doesn't let you get comfortable being like, I'm this kind of a monster and I can just sit here forever, and as long as I don't like commit a genocide or eat a baby, nothing's going to make ever really challenge me.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would have some narrative concerns because it's a once you get characters that are either going really low or really high on the humanity scale, I it's kind of in the same vein I have as the player death as a storyteller, which is like I'm not gonna not kill your character. I'm not gonna not take your character sheet for being a white. I just wanted to have narrative weight and like fucking mean something. And my concern would be if it's a three times and you're out strike system, uh, just a bad run of luck is just gonna snap up a character and you're fucked, and that just all of that story and effort we'd put into this chronicle is just for nothing for this one player.
Yeah, I think that's where an ST is gonna have to step in. Same with any
Hmm.
other game. Same with D&D.
Yeah.
You get a bad dice roll and all of a sudden your character gets crit by what was supposed to be an easy fight,
Yeah.
catches a
So,
bullet in the eye, and
well, will I be able to
Doug the
do that? Do I
sorcerer is
have enough
gone.
drama die?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
see, whereas it's circling back into like, I don't like this portion of the rock, Robert. It's pissing me off. South
I
Carolina
mean,
is gone.
I see what you're saying. Like, clearly, yes, a good ST would just step in and do something to intervene. Devil's barking, kind of, listen,
Yeah.
your character fucked up. We're having bad stuff happen to you. I'm not taking your character away and making you a white yet. But
Yeah.
if that's not what the story calls for, like, obviously. But I do think that the drama is weird because it does putting a cost between a lot of stuff that I think an ST should just be doing anyway makes other things that an ST could do you start to question.
Because
Yeah, and you like it sets
Mhm.
up, and hopefully, no one ever has to deal with this player at their table, but it sets up that player that's just like, well, no, you can't do that because you don't have drama die.
Oh, there's gonna be so
Yeah.
many of that player. Oh,
Yeah,
there's gonna be
There,
so many of that player. Holy fuck. Like above board, with just because of doing stuff on Start Playing, I'm back to running games for just strangers. And I forgot how many players are that guy. John, I absolutely forgot. There's so many. Holy shit.
yeah.
And it's like yeah. Uh that will
yeah.
piss
It
me the fuck
also
off so much. Oh no.
I
Sorry.
think this no, I think this also encourages like the ST versus players. I know the book
hmm
specifically says that's not what's going on, but I think it can
Oh,
really
it absolutely
encourage
will. It
like
absolutely, that's what it
you're gonna
does.
have ST who are gonna use all their drama to fuck players over at any turn possible.
Yeah.
Especially when it's just like I'm dumping it into an NPC. You just really can't kill this guy with a shotgun who's mowing you down. I can heal him every round. Oh, he gets an extra turn this round with his shotgun, by the way.
Yeah. This is mechanically opening the door for shit fuck STs to go, I'm just gonna sit on my pool of drama dice and then fuck you because fuck you.
Yeah.
In very particularly not great ways. And then on the flip side, you're gonna have players that like the storyteller will be trying to negotiate and work with one player to resolve a, oh, you got fucked by the dice. I want you to get a consequence, obviously, but I don't want you to become a white and have to get rid of this character. It doesn't make sense narratively. I'm trying to negotiate. And then dickhead tomboy over there is gonna go, well, actually, push glasses up bridge of nose, the rules, blah blah blah. And I can see you only have so many drama dice. I've been counting. And
Yeah.
that's I don't
Yeah,
like
man,
that
I feel like
person.
after like a
No.
couple of those, I'd just be like, and a flaming arrow flies through the window and hits you in the temple. I'm sorry. Now your
Yeah.
character is dead.
Yeah, that's and all I feel like a lot of that can be avoided by just having just talk, just have a chill session zero, get the vibes down, understand how each other's play storytelling style is, and then if you hit a rough patch in an issue, just take a five and go, hey dog, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't need somebody Phoenix writing me when I'm trying to like do silly gay vampire shit. Uh, so yeah, we've had a really long recording day. Thank you, Hunter. We appreciate you. This was a lot.
No,
Um,
this has been fun. I've
yeah.
Other than I have been going to work in the office this whole time, but other than that, I've just been kind of couch or bed bound for the last 2 weeks
Okay.
since Gen Con. So like this has fun getting me back into writing and giving me
Mm-hmm.
something to do with my brain. Because I'll be honest, I have been getting so fucking like feeling like detached and like antsy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't even want
That's
to
fair.
drink, but I was just like the other day I was like I wish I could take my laptop to the bar and do this so I could be around people and get a nice glass of water, kind of.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
being in the office is fine, but it's also a new job where I know no one, so it's a different kind of isolating feeling. Um,
Yeah, for sure, dude.
but so like this has actually been a really good reprieve for me to read through this.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I would say overall I'm very mixed. I think this is salvageable. I definitely think as much as it sounds like I may have been like complaining, I did enjoy the playtest when I played it, except
Mm-hmm.
for that social combat scene. Like it seemed like a fun system, but it didn't seem like my biggest concern immediately coming out of it because I went and talked to Skipper like right after.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My biggest concern was that it didn't feel like a game that was going to work well for long campaigns. Like playing through,
Mm-hmm.
it's like this feels like it's going to be very short.
Mhm.
And I think us diving into the rules more now, I kind of feel the same way, at least in
Yeah.
that players are going to quickly like run out of resources. They seem pretty difficult to gain back. Um, and then you're either just going to be grinding the resource hole or taking long breaks where all you guys are doing is feeding and relaxing in your haven. I imagine like your games are going to need that, like, all right, we're coming back to the story like a month later. It's been 2 weeks. After a couple game sessions after your big event, just to kind of reset, even if you're not resetting the humanity scale necessarily, just to get players back to like proper vitae and willpower to interact with the game.
Right.
And time frames and stuff. That's all going to come into play. But yeah, when you're spending your health to cast powers, you're going to need break time to recover that, unless you're just like feeding people to death constantly, which is then going to trigger your beast, and then you're a white. So I think it's interesting that humanity is, I think, going to be much more forward. Like I said, I think this is the focus. I kind of wish they had explained the humanity scale earlier in the book, actually, because I think it better sets up their intentions with everything else. Like knowing how, now that we've really talked it out and I've got a better thought in my head about how this humanity scale works, I can see some of their intentions of making it more likely for you to roll bad and, oh, you gain one of 5 dots that'll take you into a bestial failure.
Do you
I'm
think if they
having
put
to.
the humanity tracker at the beginning to explain and then had everything else afterwards would solve that problem?
I think at least explaining the intent of it. I think having a things like, hey, this is the focus of the game. The focus of this game is the humanity scale and the struggle between your beast and your human nature.
Mhm.
Putting that like very explicitly, talking and then talking at least a basic explanation to talk about how the other things tie into it, because that was a big focus in V5, but like not every mechanic ended up this directly tying back into humanity. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Mhm.
Like, um, so I do think if you want to get a taste for V6, wrap your head around this. Go read this section a couple times. Hopefully, me having this epiphany live on air and us like talking through it, hopefully you have a better understanding than I did after one read through. But
Yeah.
that definitely seems like the big focus.
Yeah.
I'm not
Hell yeah.
necessarily the biggest fan of it, but I don't hate it. I'm with Skipper on this. I think it got to play it out,
Mhm.
and I think
Yeah.
some of the natures are weird for what they're trying to be. Like, I
Mhm.
know it's not supposed to be you're good, you're bad, or whatever, but like with my venture, their nature is perfectionism. I've
Mhm.
resisted my beast so much that I have an outburst where I I become a perfectionist and have to like perfectly clean the house. I have to perfectly do this activity in front of everyone. It's
You recreate that scene from Whiplash.
yeah, it's odd. It's a little odd. I understand that, like, I think you really, really have to think out your nature and how that's going to, because the descriptions are very vague, and I think you're gonna really have to
Mhm.
fill in the blank of what's happening, what your character is actually doing when that happens.
Mhm.
Um, Hopefully we get better ones in the final version, but
Yeah. I was gonna say, Skipper, did you have any thoughts on things overall?
I know y'all aren't the hugest fan, but honestly I kind of like the humanity and scale. I'm not sure if the layout of the scale is correct.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the sliding scale is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
I do agree it's a bit more complicated than it needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
But pardon me. But yeah, I think that specifically they said like an outburst on the humanity side,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of part of the reason I'm just like I really think it's just like freaking out because you're like, oh my God, what have I become? You know?
yeah.
And I think it's a cool reflection of that. I don't know if I love how it's laid out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I also think that could be presented better as well, because I do like the midlife crisis, the existential crisis side
Yeah.
of the human nature, and that's not really
what it's presenting when it describes nature. It's just talking about, oh, your memories of a human manifest them and you act like that.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I think that's very, very, very different than realizing how far you've fallen from what you were and having like a freak out over it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was
I'm
directly
kind.
quoting from the book there a lot, so
Yeah. No.
that wasn't just me summing it up wrong.
Yeah, no, your quoting helped a lot with me on that, which makes me less annoyed about the vitae and the humanity scale overall, and I appreciate that. I agree, we definitely need to try it out. I would say if they want the humanity scale, I think to hit the way that they're actually describing, I think it's wonky that the beast is given so much weight of like, oh, it's this monster, terrible. Bleh. It's chaotic and destructive and a problem and predatory, but calling it inherently evil is weird. But on the flip side of that coin, I think the opposite side of that scale being the you're just kind of a guy chilling. Like I think that weight tension isn't there, so I think maybe popping it towards more of a you're having a crisis of faith or you're having a moral panic or you're having an existential crisis on that other side
Mm-hmm.
because you're having to, rationalize your own mortality because you're watching yourself like degrade in real time. I think would maybe help get that point across better.
Yeah, I could see that.
But that's just kind of also a lot of my thoughts and feelings on vampires anyway, so weh. Yeah, that's just a trope thing on my side. I think the big differences between V5 and V6 is I think V5 is the hunger forward system,
Mm-hmm.
and then V6 is going to try to be the humanity moral forward system. So I'm kind of curious how that's all going to shake out.
Yeah, I do think it's interesting.
Mhm.
I mean, I've stepped back and forth and played older editions of Vampire since V5 came out a couple
Mhm.
times. Not as much as I have with other games, but
Mhm.
So like this could just be a really interesting new take, and even if it's not my favorite, I'd like to see what they do with it. Like I said, there's the feedback forum. Let them know what you think because there's a lot of interesting stuff here, and I would like to see how it develops out.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. Yeah,
I agree.
I think that's good. So, what do you have on the docket for us this next chunk of our, I guess we're going to call it 6th edition alpha test month? Ooh.
So, this is where you, the audience, have a say. I was considering doing a character creation episode where we sit down, we talked about this, maybe make a new character. We joked about making Benny's sister, but we could do anything. So we might sit down and make pick a clan before we start recording, but the three of us sit down, make a character with the V6 rules. And then that would basically be the end of it as I have
Okay.
planned with V6. And then we might go back to
Okay.
some V5 stuff. But I want our listeners to know I probably will make a ping in the Patreon chat, but even the regular non-patrons, just like in the feedback channel, or even ping us on social media and let us know like kind of what you want to hear from us, what if you want more V6 stuff, like if you want us to keep diving through this, because this will be four episodes in a row. This is going to be like a full month.
Yeah.
I know V6 is hot, it's the big new thing, but like
Yeah.
maybe you just want
Like
us to get back to doing lore stuff. Maybe you want us to do like thematic episodes again. Maybe
Yeah,
you're like, yeah, but you guys didn't even touch on the blood rules for V6. Tell me how blood bonds work.
Yeah. If there's a mechanic you want us to know more specifically, happy to get into that. Once we're done with V6 month, I have stuff in the can for getting into Courts of the Damned book because that was the last thing Renegade put out before all of this nonsense happened, and more fuckity lore things going forward. Huzzah!
Huzzah!
Yeah, and then
Huzzah!
over at our Patreon, like I said, we're gonna do this playtest, then we're gonna go back to everyone's favorite RPG.
Shadowrun?
Finish. I
The
don't think so.
everlasting
Yes.
peace. Oh
Ah,
God.
fuck. Fuck.
Yeah,
Got
we got
that
it.
Prosecco, baby.
We got one episode of that left, and then I was gonna do the Bat Boy series, and then we'll do a new poll for what. So we got a lot of Patreon stuff going on. I am gonna try and crank through those as quick as I can. Once Sarah takes over the main episodes again.
Yeah.
So
Did we do the poll about the next NPC episode yet?
I don't think so. I can double check.
Okay.
But
We have a couple Patreon polls I need to get knocked out because I'm like, I want to do more NPC deep dives. I like doing the city deep dives. That's just fun.
yeah.
If anybody has a location that they want to suggest, I'm happy to hear it. I'm like, I like learning about cool cities. It's fun. I want to learn about your demographics. Let's go.
Nerd.
What?
For
Yes.
real though.
Like for real though.
Like,
Like, it's
yes,
for
you're right.
realsies.
And
Yeah, correct. That accurate, actually, lore accurate. We appreciate that. Nautistically accurate. I hate that I said that at LARP, and now I'm like, I kind of want to make it merch. I just haven't. I need to finish building the PC over here. That's been the problem.
Fair.
Yeah. Outside of that, thank you, Paralyze, for the music. They're on Bandcamp. Go check them out. If you like it, give them $1. We do have social medias on Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky, but we're mostly on the Discord. So if you want to hang out with the
It's true.
community, run games, play games, talk about stuff, talk about media, stuff in general. We have a books channel where people share like cool books they're reading. Because reading's dope. We have a community promo channel where people are sharing their cool projects and things. We also have the Patreon channel where you get a cool badge for giving us money and then also get to talk to us directly about the show so we can like make sure we're making the thing you want because you're giving us money. Ooh. Yeah. That's the big thing. Speaking of Patreon, we have different tiers. You can give us money and get different things for it. Hooray.
Check it out. I dare you.
Check it out.
yeah, we got merch too. Go get a
We
shirt.
do have merch. I know there's a couple people that we are way behind on getting you your merch. I am so sorry. I'm getting the last of those manifests to Hunter and Skipper to get those shipped out. There might be
Yeah.
a slight delay on that right now because of the flooding.
Yeah, there's a little delay in the printing and then in the international travel.
Yeah,
And then
so, yeah.
we didn't get a lot of those shirts back in stock until Gen Con. So we're just now
Yep.
getting back to getting those out. So
All figured out. So
apologies
thank you
for all that. That
patience.
took a little longer than we expected.
Yeah, it did. The big 2026 has been not kind.
Yeah, been kind of a jerk.
It's been kind of a jerk. But if you're not a jerk and you want to talk to us about your cool project, we do have interviews that we're working to get cranked out. You can talk to us. Blankbuddies at Gmail. We will organize an interview to talk about your cool project.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else?
Nothing I can think of.
Sick.
Yeah, nope.
I know there was talk in the Discord about creating a Blank Bodies community big walk server that might happen. I don't know. Video games, we have them.
That's true.
I don't even know what that
Yeah.
is.
It's
a
a
video
game where
game.
you do a big walk.
Oh, nice.
That's it. It's just a sandbox
You
you dick
just-
around with your friends.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fun. I approve.
Yeah, it's a little vibe. Yeah, John, please get us out of here. I'm so fucking
Yeah.
hungry right now. Oh my god.
I am tired.
Mhm.
Goodbye, everyone. I love you very, very much. Anyway.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Mwah.
There it is.